or into a new episode of the Rebel Radio podcast. You can't run through a podcast. That would be weird.
No.
And you can't really run.
Was this the movie
with
Ghost?
It for,
where you just run through things?
I can guarantee we would never fucking cover that movie ever.
Ever?
No.
You don't like that.
This is not the romantic radio podcast, okay? I know we joked before about covering Titanic, but I think Titanic would be more serious because at least it's James Cameron. Man, if you were here in person, not visually, I would slap you upside your head right now. You're getting a long look from me. You know the look long gives, like he's going to kill you.
Next month on the Rebel Radio podcast, Fools Rush In, The Notebook.
Fuck, y'all made me suffer through a comedy month as it was, man. The Notebook. Oh my God, shoot me now.
We should mention it to Long just to see if he would do it.
He would probably he would do that thing where he goes, okay. And he would look at us like, but I'm not doing that fucking movie.
I ain't doing it.
Man, there's one thing we should have done. I didn't even think about on our 10th anniversary show. We can kind of randomly do this now. Like, what's the worst movie we've ever done, not counting the Patreon episodes? What is probably the worst thing we've done on an episode? Man, it's like there's got to be something that was just like, why did we do this fucking movie? I know what Long would pick. He would pick the 36th Chamber of Shaolin because he was really like, why did we do this? But I didn't think that was a bad movie. It was just not our normal. It wasn't our normal cup of tea, but it wasn't a bad movie or anything. But man, that's a good question, and it's something we can come back around to and think like, what's the worst movie we've ever did? I mean, there's some movies that maybe critically people didn't like them, but it's hard to think of anything we've ever done. Like Terminator 3 we did recently wasn't well received, but there's things we enjoy about it,
Yeah. It's a movie that has redeeming qualities.
Yeah, it's like it really makes me wonder, like, we just did Deadpool Wolverine. We've never done X-Men Origins Wolverine, which might be one that would be frowned upon from that community, or X-Men Dark Phoenix, something like that. I'm just wondering, like, I'm kind of looking through the list real quick in the last, 8 to 10 months of movies we've done, and I can't. Nothing sticks out. Maybe RoboCop 2. I mean, that's honestly not very good, but we still kind of enjoyed it. It would probably be amongst the list of one of the worst we've done. Because if you really beat down the bush with Batman with RoboCop 2, it is pretty bad. If you really want to tear it apart, so to speak. X-Men: The Last Stand, it's not very good. But that was done on purpose. Those were comic movies that just weren't that good. That was not a movie that we did on purpose. RoboCop 2 comes to mind. Robot Jocks wasn't great, but it had, what was it in there? Claw. What was the claw thing?
The chainsaw dick.
The chainsaw dick. I mean, that makes up for it right there, man.
You could name a lot of, movies that maybe weren't, the best, but they had redeeming qualities. I don't think 3. I can think of a movie where we were just like, man, why did we pick this movie again?
I do have to question why we did Rush Hour, because when we rewatched, I'm like, why are we doing this? It's not good. Why was this a hit? Oh, because Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker were hits. The movie's not that great. It feels like, something that was one that was up there. I'm just looking through a list, like I said, right now, going through. I'm back. I'm almost going 100 episodes. I'm just looking at things we've done. There's just a few examples.
Maybe The Mist.
Go ahead.
Just because of how it ends, That
had a bad ending, but the movie itself wasn't, bad all the way through it. And actually, that movie kept me engaged until the last 5 minutes, and I was like, wait, what? That's it?
Yeah, you're like...
Yeah, that's a good question.
He shot his kid? What the heck?
Yeah,
why are we covering
it was
this?
Completely effed up.
Yeah, it would have to be for, like, the right reason.
Yeah. I mean, we've done some dumb movies. I mean, we did Beavis and Butthead Do America. I mean,
Yeah, we did.
But hey, we like our dumb movies, It's like, damn it. We're allowed to like dumb movies. I mean, I won't throw you under the bus there. Master of the Universe isn't very good, We covered it.
Yeah, because
I was
going to
say Austin Powers.
I
was going to say Austin Powers. You made me watch that.
I did make you watch that.
Not that I don't enjoy Austin Powers, but it's like
there was
like Austin
Heather
Powers.
Graham,
parody. There
Heather Graham and Elizabeth Hurley in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Redeeming qualities, and chest hair shaped like penis. That's got to be fun.
Oh God, we did do Wonder Woman 84, but we can blame the pandemic on that. We thought it was going to be great.
Oh yeah,
but even it's not a bad movie. It was just like
better.
We chose this, then it came out. We're like, oh, that was it. Why did we do this? We expected to be so much better than it was. You did make me watch fucking Roadhouse and cover that.
I did. It was an excuse to make you see Patrick Swayze's ass. That was all.
It was your birthday pick, so I can't blame a birthday pick.
The birthday picks are. It's almost like
as long as you don't.
Yeah.
Superman 3, that was pretty bad, even though it's fun. I mean, it has drunk Superman in it.
Dude,
Again, we keep finding redeeming qualities. Yeah. Again, we keep finding redeeming qualities that get us out of this. Oh, there's got to be something we're not thinking of, but it's just interesting. You think about bad movies and things like that. I mean, like I said last week, on the show, I watched Conan the Destroyer. That could be considered a bad movie, but there's things I like about it in it. The mirror fight and the cool monster. I mean, there's some neat stuff. It brings back.
It's a fun movie. Yeah. Man, yeah.
So I mean,
there's definitely a few in there where you're like, maybe you can find.
I tell you one that Long picked, and it's not fair to say it's a bad movie, but when Long was wanting to do a Disney movie because we had never really done an animated Disney movie. And for some reason, we chose Hercules, the first time to ever do an animated Disney film. And I'm just like sitting there watching this. And I really not that I didn't enjoy it, but I felt like too childish for us to be doing that movie,
Okay.
I didn't feel childish when we covered Toy Story or Coraline or other animated films. But I felt like this is below. I felt like it was below us for, not that we're the most mature people. Maybe how many dick jokes we have an episode. But
yeah,
I just felt like Hercules was a childish movie to do on the show. But again, I can't say it's the worst movie we've done. I mean, Matt, I'm looking at the list. It's your birthday picks, man. Last Action Hero, that movie sucks, dude.
Hey, you know what? You shut your mouth. You shut your fucking mouth. It had the Terminator, the writer for Lethal Weapon, and the director of Die Hard. It was supposed to be great.
Fired.
But you know what? Arnold wanted to make it PG-13. That's what, unfortunately, my man is what ruined the movie. If he would have said, you know what, let's just make it another rated R movie, it would have been great. But we had to do this whole Alice in Wonderland, and maybe I like the film because I'm like, I wish I was that kid. I wish I was that kid at that age. Get transported into an Arnold movie, and you're right there, and he's blowing people away with a Desert Eagle. Pretty
personally,
darn cool.
one of the movies. I will not say any of the comedy movies y'all made me watch, but okay. I really just rewatching Beetlejuice. I just don't like it. I really didn't have fun reviewing that and talking it. I had no desire to see the sequel. I watched it when I was younger, and rewatching it years later, I just like, this just isn't that good. I just don't care for it. And I know someone's gonna be like, you don't like Beetlejuice? No, I just didn't. I rewatching that I was just like, I don't like this. I just don't. I mean, and Keaton's great. Don't get me wrong. There's some moments in it, but overall, I just like, nah, not my thing. Yeah, man, I just went all the way back through the reboot, and those are only a few I can think of. So I guess we know how to pick them, on the Rebel Radio podcast.
Yeah,
I guess that's just it. We'll pat our own backs, and it is strange. I don't know if we've done this before. I feel like we did it one time on your birthday, but today is my birthday, so we are recording my birthday episode on my actual birthday. So that's kind of cool, even though
pretty darn
you
cool.
guys will get this a few days later. So yeah, man, I'm old. That's all I'll say. And but I feel good, man. I feel better than I felt in years. Been trying to take care of myself, and so hats off to 48. Hopefully, it's a good year and continues to get better. I even worked out today on my birthday. Some people were like, "What? You worked out on your birthday? The birthday for relaxing?" Yeah, because I've been lazy on my vacation this week. Well, I've been lazy on my vacation this week. That's only the second time I worked out. So I'm like, I got to get my ass out there and do it. So I worked out for a little bit, and I'm probably a little smelly right now. Good thing you can't smell me through the computer, because I worked out about 6 o'clock before I made dinner, and haven't showered yet. So, and it's hot as all fuck out in Texas right now. And I even usually run a fan in the garage when I work out, but even today I was sweating good. I mean, it was warm. So people want that picture of my smelly sweat through the podcast.
Good though, man. You need to get the exercise in every so often.
But other than that, man, I've had a rather lazy week. We had a good time Saturday night though, man. You and Frank came over, and we kind of did Frank has a birthday in June. I'm in August. It's in September, so we kind of got together. We hadn't gotten together in a while. Just kind of did a sort of birthday celebration / just hang out. We watched SummerSlam, and it was fun. We got to watch the GOAT come back since his absence since WrestleMania when Roman Reigns appeared, and it was incredible. I've watched the replay like 10 times. That pop was amazing. I mean, just the crowd, it was incredible. It's cool. You can go on YouTube and you can watch different angles where people have their phones out and seeing the pop around the arena. It's freaking incredible. And we're not a wrestling podcast, so we won't get hardcore into it. But Matt, I know, I've been getting really hardcore back in wrestling since the beginning of the year, and me and Frank have messed with you a little bit. What was your experience sitting down with the boys and watching because I imagine that's the first time you've really watched it in a while.
Yeah, no, it was entertaining. And it just reminded me of whenever I'd see like Stone Cold stomp on the mat and like, do the punch. But it looks like they don't do that now. They don't do the stomp punch anymore.
Oh, some of them do.
Yeah.
You weren't paying attention during the main event. Solo Sequoia during the main event. He's an old school wrestler, does it quite a bit. So does Gunther. Yeah, we had the kids and things were going on too,
Yeah, I want to say during the main event, like I caught the end of the main event, really well, but like kind of like bits and pieces at the beginning, I didn't see as much, and I think the fight with Gunther, I didn't see as much until he started bleeding, and so maybe I just didn't catch that. But right. Yeah, I remember Stone Cold doing that a lot. The Rock. It definitely reminded me of, middle school, high school, watching wrestling, NWO, and all those guys, Bret the Hitman Hart. It's definitely, a fun and entertaining, thing to watch. And the storylines that you get. But it was entertaining. I might have to try and keep up and watch a little bit more so I can stay up with it.
There you go, man. I'm telling you, it's not too late to get on that bandwagon. Wrestling is world hot. It's red hot in the world right now. When Raw hits Netflix in January, it's only going to get bigger. I mean, Netflix opens up the world to them because, I mean, they can reach countries they'll never be able to reach because Netflix is everywhere. So it's going to be a big deal. It's going to get bigger. And but no, I'm glad you came over and hung out and watched it. We had a good time, and it was fun. And man, I really kind of slacked off this week. That's like all I really watched was I've been I started this YouTube channel with Wyatt and been busy doing that and making ideas for that and I did a lot of stuff around the house on my vacation. I've gotten a lot accomplished. But I didn't really watch anything. I didn't even have a chance to get back into Batman, the Cape Crusader yet, which I really want to because I was enjoying that. And so I hope maybe you watch something, man. I don't know if you watched anything extra this week.
Yeah, I actually did watch Batman, the Cape Crusader. I watched the first 2 episodes. I think it was the first 2. It's the first one's got the penguin in it, and then the second one is the one with the guy with the clay face, where it was the same bad guy from a Batman animated series episode, and he can rearrange his face however he wants and mimic anybody, but he can only do it for a short amount of time. Right. I remember that being an episode in the Batman animated series, just kind of reminded me a little bit about it, and it's definitely done in the same vein. It's well voice acted, I'll say. And I didn't realize Christina Ricci does Harley Quinn. So I'm going to.
Oh, really? I thought that voice sounded familiar.
Yeah.
I only watched about the first 5 minutes of episode 3, and I haven't finished it yet. And I heard the voice. I was like, that sounds very familiar. I didn't realize it was her.
Yeah, I think I caught the beginning of it. He's doing his therapist sessions, and she's his therapist. I want to say, and that's all I caught of the 3rd episode. And I was like,
and I guess people were complaining because Harley is the Chinese American from the looks of it. It's like, who cares? It's like I can deal with that better, than I can deal with Penguin being a girl. That's kind of weird. Yeah,
it's like put Poison Ivy. If you want to feature more, female rogues gallery. You've got strong female villains.
That bothers me less than the Joker movie. I don't know disrespect. Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga are both fantastic actors, but I just don't care, man. I don't want my Joker to be almost 50 years old, my Harley Quinn to be in her 40s. It just doesn't that's just not my personal vision as Batman characters as a Batman fan. I appreciate the Joker movie for the acting and what it did, but I just watched it once. It was enough. I can't say I won't watch the sequel when it maybe comes to Max, but I'm not going to go see it. I have no desire to see it right now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I just don't like it when they change the mythos too much. It's like, I will always go back to what Daniel Craig said a couple years ago when they were suggesting that James Bond be a woman. Why not just write better parts for women, write new characters, write new good parts for Asian Americans, write good parts for women actors? If you want to create a new woman villain on Batman the Caped Crusader, create another great woman villain like you did with Harley Quinn. You don't need to make the Penguin a woman, And the episode was fine. Don't get me wrong. I actually enjoyed that episode despite Penguin being a woman. Thought it was a really good episode. It was a good start to the show.
Yeah.
But it didn't need to be done, So just
it's like a
good part.
James Bond, you brought up James Bond. That's the male fantasy, being the guy that can, he wears the fine suits. He gets the women. He saves the day. It's like he drives the cool car. It's like that's the male fantasy. It's like, the women, I want to say in No Time to Die, like Ana de Armas's character, if you featured her more, I think that would have given you a similar effect, because her character
you lost me because I was envisioning her in my mind.
Yeah, I know, right? She was in No Time to Die. She was the I think
I know who she is. No, that was a joke, Matt. You missed the joke. I meant like in my mind.
One of the many movies where she, is not afraid to pull a Sydney Sweeney, and show it, especially that movie where she defeated John Wick with the other chick.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, check that out. And I want to say that's really it. I did. Oh, you know what? I played Doom Eternal. My son got me to play.
Funny. I ended up that's funny you said that, because just tonight Michael asked me if it's on sale for $10, and he asked if he could get it. I was like, yeah, you haven't asked for a game in a while. So he bought it, and I'm sure he's downloaded. This was just like an hour ago, so I'm sure he's downloading it. And I have it on the PS5. I want, but man, it's 128 gigs. I don't know if I'm going to download it or not, because I'm not. Wyatt wants to try to play. I said, Wyatt, I need to check that, because I think those are pretty violent. He is only 9 years old. I'm like, we'll wait and see on that one. But yeah, I might download it and try it at some point. It's because the Doom games are just shooters, right? Yeah, they're just first-person shooters.
Yeah, first-person shooter, and then you got a chainsaw, of course. That's always fun. So I remember the original game, and I downloaded it whenever it was on sale for $1. And it's just it's not the same. I definitely
I think that's the last time I played a Doom game was the original. Well, like those old school shooters are fun. Like they remastered Dark Forces, Star Wars, but I just didn't. Maybe that ever goes on sale for like $5, but it's like I don't want to pay $18 to play remastered Dark Forces. Those old, because if you play, like I have the remastered Jedi Knight, man, go play those old games. They're really hard and they're not very much fun. Really, you kind of get mad at them a lot. So for a few bucks, they're worth the nostalgic, but not 15 or more. I don't think.
That's like whenever I went back
yeah.
and played 8-bit games on the
Oh, I
Nintendo,
know.
I'm like, these games suck.
I know. They're ridiculously fucking hard, man. You're like, we played this when we were kids, and I think that's how they looped us in. We didn't even realize it because we're like 8 or 9 years old. We kept playing for hours and hours, thinking we're going to get to that next thing, and then you start thinking back on your life, you realize that's why I never beat the fucking Donkey Kong Country, because they made it too hard on purpose.
They did, man.
And they occurred to us back then. Man, because that's how they sold you the game and got parents to buy more games, and we didn't. Now we're a little smarter to it. You only buy a game now if you're like, okay, I can afford this, or do I have time to play it? Because we have a lot other distractions now than just games. When we were younger, that was our distraction: comic books, video games. That was it. We didn't have the internet and YouTube and streaming services, and so so yeah, man, subliminal marketing. That's what Nintendo and Sony did to us, and we don't realize it. Damn them.
That's like the Batman game. I remember like buying the Batman game again and trying to play it on that Retron system, and I was like, this is really hard. But I like the intro, and the 8-bit theme. That's always fun.
Oh yeah, shit's great, man. I have a whole load of emulators on my computer of most of those old games. Every now and then I'll turn them on and play some of them. And I do the same thing. I play for about 5 minutes. Fuck this, it's hard. I'm done. But no, good shit, man. Well, we were just talking Batman, and so we're gonna get into today's featured film, and this is my birthday pick, and I picked it on the last minute. And it's funny, I was going through Amazon Prime today, and I saw another movie that I might show up on our list in September. That I'm like, man, I should have picked that one in, but it's okay because I still I'm a huge Batman fan, but I've done most of my favorite movies either as birthday picks or on the podcast throughout the last 408 episodes. So it's getting to that point where there's plenty of movies left. Don't let me think that we're quitting anytime soon, because there's lots of movies to discuss. But we've done most of my favorites, and so it's getting hard to find a favorite movie to do for my birthday. So I chose, let's do a Batman film. I can never go wrong with Batman. And so we chose the DC original animated version of Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. And we are covering parts 1 and 2, the whole enchilada, the whole shebang, because that's the best way to talk about this story, because if you separate it doesn't work. And that's how we did when we did the Death of Superman, Reign of Superman. We covered it all in one bang there also. So I'll summarize the film. So it's based on Frank Miller's super popular graphic novel from 1986, one of the best-selling graphic novels of all time, in which it tells a story in which the future world of Batman is quite different. Batman has gone into hiding, basically, and disappeared for almost 10 years. The political climate of the world has changed, where the politicians basically just sit back and bicker and control the nuclear weapons of the world through force and through the use of Superman, who works for them, who basically controls the world and tells y'all, if you fuck with each other, I'm going to fuck you back. But it's also because of that, it's allowed crime to riddle the cities of America. And especially in Gotham. Gotham is starting to turn back to its days, because Bruce at this point is almost, I wouldn't say bitter, but just I wouldn't even say he gave up, but he had to stop, because he realized it was never going to end. And his body was breaking down, essentially.
And the world was not being very kind to Vigilante.
Very kind to him. Yes, to Vigilante. So Bruce has been quiet for 10 years, but he decides to come out of hiding after those 10 years and to fight back, because he's tired of the mutant gangs and stuff taking over the city, and no one else doing anything about it after he gets almost mugged, basically. And that simple, and there's a parallel there to his parents getting killed, and he becomes the Batman. He gets a simple mugging and realizes, what am I doing? And he goes back into it. And I think a lot of people don't pick up on that parallel from his origin stories. His parents being killed to a simple mugging that brings it back out. And meanwhile, the Joker is getting out of a rehabilitation center, as well as Harvey Dent, who has his face restructured. And which also has Bruce's attention, because he believes, is Harvey going to turn back to crime, which he does. And meanwhile, the Joker's getting out, and Bruce is definitely keeping a close eye on that. And the Joker gets back to his maniacal ways and kills 200 people at a television taping in which he's supposed to interview and say he is rehab. which along with Batman fighting the mutant gangs, he also has to go after the Joker. And then essentially to simplify things, the government thinks Batman needs to be stopped, and they send Superman after him, where we get this awesome fight of Batman against Superman, which was somewhat redone in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, in which Batman fakes his death and makes the world thinks he's disappeared. And the movie ends with Batman working underground and still going to work against the governments and the bad guys of the world. Meanwhile, Superman keeps the secret with him. And I know I simplified that story a lot, but this is quite a complex Batman story. A lot of layers to it, so to speak. But it's really good. Peter Weller does an awesome job as the voice of Batman in this. I can't remember who voices Superman off the top of my head. I like Weller's take on it, kind of dark and brooding. And I like how Weller plays it very kind of straight. He doesn't really scream. He doesn't yell. He just he's very even keeled throughout the movie, but it works. We also have this is where the female Robin, Carrie Kelly, is introduced, who it's just a young girl who's a fan, but she's trained in some martial arts herself, from what you gather from the story. And Batman takes her under his wing to help him in the fight. We also get an aging Alfred, who is not too thrilled that Batman's chosen to go back out there, but he, as he always does, he supports Bruce in his decisions before it takes Alfred's own life by the end of the film. So some interesting concepts in the story. We have a Selena Kyle Catwoman who has completely let herself go into an obese alcoholic who basically has nowhere to turn in her life.
And she runs escort girls.
Runs escort girls. And so a lot of interesting elements in the background mythology of this story. And I'm running my mouth a lot, Matt.
Mark Valley did Superman. Okay. I was trying to find him.
So what was your first experience? My first experience with Dark Knight Returns is reading the book. It was one of the early adult comics I read at the time. And I maybe didn't quite understand it all the first time I read it. And then I saw the animated version, and I thought, man, this is why I have some faith in the Watchmen animated version that's coming out, because I think the Dark Knight Returns animated version is really good and takes the best elements of the comics and tells a really good story. So, what were your first experiences being young and when you discovered the Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah, so I've only seen little snippets of the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel. But I do know like some pieces in it. Like I know whenever he goes back out and fights crime, he tells himself in the book that he should be breaking down his body, and he shouldn't be able to do what he's been doing. But he's like, I'm not 55. He's like, I feel like I'm 20 or 30, and he's like, I feel rejuvenated, and I feel like it's a book that really highlights the mythos, the mythical side, the legend of Batman. And it's different than the Watchmen, where Watchmen is a very serious and complex take. This is building up the legend of Batman, and definitely does that well. Really, what I know of it, it comes from this movie that we're reviewing today, which was inspired by Frank Miller getting mugged. He got mugged, and it's what inspired him to write this Batman Coming Back. And he does a really good job of adding a couple RoboCop moments in there where RoboCop, he busts through the wall to get a bad guy, and this one Batman busts through a wall the same way. Frank Miller wrote for RoboCop, and of course he wrote this. But it's awesome to see Batman just be Batman again. And even though he's, the new commissioner sends cops after whatever to get him and try and take him down, and she's like, he's twice your age, kid. Rush him. And they're like, rush him. It's like, yeah, come on, he's old. He's like, yeah, well, he don't punch like he's old. He still punches like the old bat. And it's cool to see just the legend of him grow in this way, where even though he's older, and you see a little bit of that at the beginning of Batman Beyond too. But he, Batman Beyond, I think he's like 70 or something.
Well, even Nolan threw a nod to this graphic novel in The Dark Knight Rises whenever Bruce comes back after 8 years, and the police officer tells the other young police officer, "Oh, you're in for a show tonight." Very similar nod to this. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Whenever Batman comes back out again, and that cop is like, "Oh, we're gonna hang back." He's like, "Yep, you just don't know." And then the young cop is like, "I'm gonna stop this kid." And just like in Dark Knight Rises, he takes a shot at Bruce Wayne in that movie, or Batman in that movie, and he attempts to stop Batman in this film, but the senior officer schools him and tells him, "Hey, just take a seat, sit in the car. You're gonna be fine." And then Batman even disappears and just reminds everybody that he will disappear as soon as you look away or blink, and take 2 seconds off of him. He'll be away. And there's a lot of detective work in this film, and trying to go undercover, a la Mission Impossible style. I guess where he's going to wear different faces of different people, which was weird seeing him as an old lady in the liquor store.
Right.
He's trying to beat up the mutants there. But I like it. I like that even the new Robin. And my son was walking by, Jake, and he didn't know what was going on. He's like, "What? Oh, Robin's a female in this one?" I was like, "Hold on, Batman's 55. Jason Todd is dead, and he hasn't talked to Dick in a while. They're not on speaking terms, or they just haven't communicated." And this is a new Robin who's voiced by Ariel Winter. Didn't realize that, but Ariel Winter, who was probably gained popularity from the Modern Family series, does a good job of voicing Robin, and gets in by fixing his.
I was going to make a perverted joke, but I won't. There's other things I know her by. Anyway.
No, yeah. Yes, there are at least 2 things that we may know.
I'll just say cake and cake.
Mm-hmm. And cake.
It's my birthday, damn it. I can be a little uncouth.
Of course. But Commissioner, I think this is a whole new voice cast. I don't think anybody came back.
No, they wanted to differentiate it from the animated series and stuff. That's why and Kevin Conroy was okay with that, and some of the other actors, they wanted it to be its own thing. And which is, I'm fine with that. Michael Emerson as the Joker, I think, is a calm, cool, collective, and actually kind of fucking creepy, really, his take on the Joker. Because it is so calm and cool. He's legitimately pretty scary. And that's the thing, that the comic is extremely violent and disturbing at times. And to adapt this, they wanted to make it, this was before DC started doing R-rated stuff, like The Killing Joke. So they wanted to keep this for all audiences, keep PG-13, but yet it's still pretty damn violent too. Especially the scene where Joker's killing people in the amusement park. I mean, they got away with some shit, even for a PG-13 animated film.
Oh yeah, he's just running around shooting the boyfriend, and then he's just killing them both. It's like every single boat in the love tunnel, the tunnel of love, he's shooting the boyfriend. And then he starts shooting both couples, and then Batman is so brutal in this film. It's very much reminds me of Zack Snyder and how he did that. Yeah,
because that's one thing I like about this animated film is it feels almost live action. Like when he's punching the mutant, they're fighting. It feels fucking hardcore.
And then his use of his tools, like Joker tried to hold a person hostage, and he just throws 3 batarangs at him. He doesn't try to disarm him and then punch him. He's like, "No, I'm taking out your eye, and I'm throwing 2 batarangs into each one of your shoulders." And he's just like, Joker's like, "What the fuck, Bruce?" the fuck is this? Why did you aim for my gun like you normally do?
Yeah,
He's
this
like,
Batman.
I'm not playing around
I
anymore.
guess we get to be 55 years old and you've been seeing it all. You're not fucking around. You're like, no, I'm done with you.
Exactly.
Because you even get the feeling that when Batman is he speaking to Robin or Alfred, I can't remember, and the look on his face like it's time. So when he goes after the Joker after the amusement park incident or at the amusement park, I get the sense that Batman was going there to kill the Joker. He didn't care what it took, even though the Joker kind of ends up offing himself. Essentially, he does because of his wounds and stuff. I think Batman was going to fucking go over the edge at that scene. I mean, it's alluded to that in the comic and it's alluded to that in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he turns him into a bomb. That was pretty cool. And he's just like, stop laughing. He still sees him laughing in his head. And then he's losing blood, of course, because Joker like stabbed him in the gut like 50 times.
Yeah.
And he's just like bleeding out. You don't know if he's going to live or die. That's another thing. Watching this again, I'm like, man, he doesn't die, does he? I was like, I had to think about it because, they make it look like he could pass away. But yeah, that, and then the way he fights Clark and, the way he's just in his face and lets him live.
Yeah.
And what he tells Clark, he's like, I could have made a stronger dose. He's like, a stronger bond, a different chemical. He's like, I could have made it more lethal. He's like, but I didn't. He's like, so in your private moments, when you're all alone, I want you to remember the one man who beat you. And it was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to psychologically beat him.
That again is elements that DC continue to borrow from in future Justice League comics, even in Justice League animated films, where Batman says he had dossiers on how to defeat every member of the Justice League, including Superman.
Yep.
And I can't think, but
that DC was a good animated movie. Doom
writers and people took that from that whole idea that at the end of the day, Batman might not be the superpowered hero, but he's probably the smartest man in the room all the time.
Definitely.
And maybe not book or technically smart like Cyborg is or something like that, but he's not going to miss a beat. Batman knows how to cause havoc and chaos.
Yeah, and I like how the character in this film is he's always like, I don't care what you think, I'm doing what's right. I'm gonna do what needs to be done, and he's done that in every instance we've seen him in, every on-screen performance for the most part. He does the right thing, and whenever he is challenged by authority or somebody else, he stands his ground, just like in Doom. Whenever his plans to take out the Justice League, if they got out of control, got leaked, and they questioned him at the end, they're like, we don't think you should be part of this council. And he's like, if you don't see a problem with an potentially out of control Justice League with no checks and balances and no backup plan, basically contingency plan, he's like, then I don't want to be a part of this team. And he just walks out. And this one, it's like he doesn't care. He'll throw fists at the new female commissioner. He doesn't care if she's a lady or not. You're trying to take him out. He pushes her aside. He's a little bit more gentle with her. And then he's like, cute gun. And I like in this one, he's not afraid to shoot a gun. It's like in the other films, most of them, he's just like, F this gun, take it apart, throw it away, drop it.
Which is also a concept that has moved on to other films. The Avengers use that idea of keeping heroes in check with the Civil War storyline and the acts. I mean, there's a movie like or a TV show like The Boys. I mean, the idea of superheroes, uncontrolled government superheroes. I mean, a lot of concepts, I think, and that's why The Dark Knight Returns is such an influential piece of work from a comic standpoint, and the animated version adapts that very well. And watching this just reminds me of a time in which we were getting much better DC animated films. And I'm really hoping now that we've gotten through the Tomorrowverse and the last of that. I haven't watched all the Crisis on Infinite Earths. I do want to finish that adaptation, but I'm hoping we get a fresh start with the Watchmen and whatever else comes next. I did not look to see what was announced at Comic-Con. I'm sure they usually announce for DC animated films, but I'm hoping we get back to making great animated DC films and more. I'd love to see more comic book adaptations like their Dark Knight Returns. I know there were rumors at one time of a Blackest Night adaptation. I would fucking love that, and do some of these great stories. If you're going to adapt a great Superman story, let's adapt John Byrne's Man of Steel storyline. I mean, just stuff like that. Let's get some of this. And the Dark Knight Returns is one of those great DC animated adaptations they've done. I really like it quite a bit. Maybe a little long at almost 3.5 hours with both movies together, but it's well paced. It flows well.
Yeah.
Is it 3.5?
Like,
it's not. It's probably more like 2.5. Yeah,
I thought it was close to 3.
I think it's like 3. It's like 172 minutes. So yeah, it sounds right, about 3 hours. Yeah.
His enemies are brutal too. The mutants.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It's like the mayor went to go have a meeting with him, and he basically eats his heart out.
They have no fear. Like even when Two-Face and the Joker come back, they don't have this fear anymore. Like in the old Batman, there was a fear in the city. The bad guys had a fear. Even the Joker feared Batman to an extent. But in this future, there's no fear because they think, oh, he's old and washed up. He's been gone for 10 years. And that's what I think makes the mutants and the bad guys so brutal, because they're not scared of Batman at all. I mean, the lead mutant goes straight up against him toe to toe. Like, you don't scare me.
Oh yeah,
which is such a different take on a villain. Because I mean, even in Matt Reeves, the Batman, we see the fear the city has of Batman, and he's only been around for 2 years in that movie. And in this version, this futuristic Dark Knight, there's no fear from the bad guys at all.
Yeah, and then it looks like some of the mutants joined him as the that Batman gang that got formed.
I do. Yeah, that's the whole idea. I think is some of them realize they turn and they realize they're letting their city fall apart, and they join the Batman gang instead. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sons of the Batman, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Or Sons of the Batman.
Yeah, Sons of the Batman. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. That's what would happen though. And it seems like that was referenced in the Dark Knight, right? And Batman the Dark Knight. When you've got the fake Batman out there, trying to help him.
Oh yeah, Nolan definitely borrowed, Nolan. People always want to say he adapted certain Batman stories like Year One and stuff. Not really. He borrowed from all the great Batman stories for all 3 of his films. That's what he did. Little bits and pieces here. Obviously, Batman Begins has the most in common with Batman Year One. There's definitely little certain parts he borrowed from the other great Batman stories in all 3 of his movies. And that's what great storytellers do, is tell great stories of their own, but also pay homage to the stories that got them there, that created this universe. Because the Batman is, such a great character, I think, that he can exist without the Justice League and without other characters. I mean, you could have just the Batman universe, and you could tell a lot of stories and a lot of great things that will work for a long time. And that's why he's my favorite superhero of all time and always will be. Wolverine comes a close second, and Spider-Man's up there too. But Batman is my absolute all-time favorite superhero. Has been for a long time since I saw Tim Burton's Batman in 1989. It changed my world. And then a couple years later, Batman the Animated Series. I mean, and I've never looked back, as far as my favorite hero of all time. And that's why I felt like I had to pick a Batman movie for my birthday. It just felt right, And we usually do our annual Christmas Batman movie as well. And we will do something this year. I kind of teased last week, but maybe Batman v Superman. But I don't know. Maybe we'll do something else. Maybe we'll do the long Halloween adaptation, or maybe we'll find something. Who knows?
Yeah. There's plenty of Batman out there right now.
Yeah.
Even the Batman, not solely Batman, but heavily Batman animated movies like Justice League Dark has a lot of Batman
options
in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. No, it was a great flick.
Oh yeah, I've been thinking.
And
no, it was fun. And Yeah, but we're not done. We promised last week at the end of the episode a sub feature this week because we got a little lazy the last few weeks. Hurricanes and things like that cause you to take a bit of a lazy side. But we're gonna do a little early. We're gonna do a little early in the month this year because it is my birthday, and we're gonna do this week in pop culture or this month in pop culture history. And the early part of the month is at the end part of the month. And so what have we got, Matt? And I have a feeling that you made this a little focused around August the 8th to an extent, but hopefully there's some other things in there too.
Yeah, this is very heavily August 8th. So most of these are August 8th.
I don't mind tributes to the master.
Yes, in honor of Mark's birthday. These, like, I think I found like 7 things. But I'll tell you whenever I've stopped talking about August the 8th. So the first August the 8th moment in pop culture history, 1991, Gary Oldman, who played Jim Gordon, of course, he was arrested for drunk driving. I guess, you can't just enjoy a couple adult beverages and drive around, I guess.
Was he making Dracula at the time and playing a really dark character and just had to get out of it for a moment, maybe?
Maybe so.
Can we forgive him for
Bram
that?
Stoker's, was 1990, right? Was Bram Stoker's Dracula. So maybe he was trying to shake that off. Yeah. That could have been.
He's like, I got to get rid of the demons, so I'm going to go get fucking drunk.
Yeah. F this. I had to make out with Winona Ryder. That sucked.
Oh, terrible.
Terrible. In 2006, the lawsuit over the Rocky inspiration was settled. Sylvester Stallone had to pay former heavyweight boxing contender Chuck Wepner an undisclosed amount to settle out of court because he claimed he was the inspiration.
Yeah, I know. That's one of those stories that still bothers me. It's one of those things that Sylvester Stallone basically had no choice but to shut this guy up, and it's fucked up. Because I've read the story, and to me, it's just pure accidental coincidence.
Yeah,
but that happens with celebrities. Unfortunately, they get embezzled in their own ways, and Sylvester had to pay this guy for it.
The most recent thing I can remember.
This dude, Sylvester's living in his car practically with no money. Like, he had no idea. He just wrote a story, and I really think it was just coincidence.
He sold his goldfish or something like that, or he was about to sell his turtles or something like that. And
he's fixing to sell his car when it had nothing to live in.
Yeah. And took the deal to make this movie, and hoped it did good because they had offered him like $300 million to take money for, or not 300 million, $300,000 to get paid for the script, which was probably close to making $1 million in what you could buy with $300,000 versus like today or even 10 years ago. But still, yeah, man, just trying to get in on the Rocky stuff. This guy. Another August 8th incident. Simon Cowell, probably the only good part of American Idol, and of course, front man for America's Got Talent, and funny British guy whenever he's making fun of people. He fell off of his bike and broke his back in 2020. And nobody wants that. We want Simon Cowell to live again to maybe make fun of somebody for their singing, which he doesn't do much nowadays. But it was funny to watch him do it on American Idol.
Yeah. I don't know. I have nothing to say.
Yeah. So you have some birthdays in common with some famous people. Dino De Laurentiis. That sounds familiar to you. It's the film producer for King Kong. He was born in 1919, August 8th. Dustin Hoffman, who is 87 this year. I
knew he was born on my birthday.
Yeah, 1837, dude. The Graduate. Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Yeah, dude. Dustin Hoffman. Hopefully I do not butcher this name too much. Mamoru Oshii. That name sounds familiar to you. He's born in 1851. He was a filmmaker and writer known for Ghost in the Shell, born in Tokyo, Japan.
Wow, he was born when?
19.
What year was he born?
1951, dude.
Oh, I thought you said 1851. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah, okay, no.
Because I knew the name. Yeah.
And then, of course, there are deaths that have happened on your birthday. We lost Glenn Campbell in 2017 on your birthday. And in 2022, we lost Olivia Newton-John on August 8th. But that is everything that I found on August 8th.
But you failed me. Transformers, the movie, came out on my birthday in 1986.
Really?
Yes. And I told this story before. I wanted to go see it so bad, but my mom and dad had something to do. I had to wait like a week to see it. My dad took me a week later to go see it. I have a buddy at school. Because back then, I'm trying to remember, like, school, we had something.
Was it released overseas maybe it was first?
Something. No, it was in America. And one of my friends was trying to spoil it for me. And I'm like, I want to go see it. And my dad took me like a week later. Yeah, that's okay. I forgive you. So the rest of it
didn't show up in my source. It didn't show up. But damn. All right. I tried.
You did great.
On to the normal day stuff outside of August 8th. Robert Downey Jr. in 2015 was named the highest paid actor. Of course, he was brought up last week because he's going to play Dr. Doom. But he was making about $80 million a movie. Now I think it's like The Rock.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows, dude? I know it was The Rock in 2019, but I didn't see an update after that. Yeah, freaking crazy. In 1985, this month, adventure comedy film Pee-wee's Big Adventure, starring, of course, Paul Rubin, who we lost recently, was released.
That was his first movie, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first movie, and then it was like
Big Top Pee-wee, yeah. Which is, I mean, they're both weird, but Big Top Pee-wee is just really weird. It makes no sense. It's like, why was this movie made?
Yeah. 1973, American Graffiti, directed by George Lucas, of course, starred Richard Dreyfuss, was released. George Lucas would go on to make the greatest franchise ever known.
Yes, and people always want to say it starred Harrison Ford. Yes, Harrison Ford is in American Graffiti. It doesn't star in it. He's actually in the film very little.
Yeah.
But yes. Because George at the time, I don't know. I'm trying to remember the story if Star Wars was in his mind yet, but he really wanted to make independent films and wanted to do these small films. And then he had this idea for Star Wars, and that's why he fought so hard to keep Star Wars like an independent style film. But you needed distribution. Of course, 20th Century Fox came in and gave it distribution and things like that. And the rest is history, man. I mean, I sit here on my birthday movie talking about Batman, which is influential, but there's nothing bigger that's influenced me in my life than Star Wars. And we got, by George Lucas in 1973, directed American Graffiti, was able to make Star Wars, and here we are. Because I honestly don't know if I'd be sitting here talking a movie with you if it wasn't for Star Wars. And I wouldn't be podcasting. I'm not saying we wouldn't have met or anything like that, but don't think I'd be podcasting. I don't know if any other film would have gotten me so into this to want to do this. It's hard to say.
It is hard to say. I wonder what would have replaced
because
Star Wars
I can't think like
Star
that.
Wars.
Like I can't think like that. What if Star Wars doesn't exist? Like this, I'm like when I see those things on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, like choose one franchise to disappear. I can't do it. I can't think like that. Those mess with me. I know it's fake and it's not real. I can't do that. I can't think like what if Star Wars didn't exist. I can't. So let's just move on. It's messing with my mind right now.
We mentioned Patrick Swayze earlier. 1987 this month, Dirty Dancing, directed by Emil Ardolino, and of course starred Jennifer Grey, was released.
I'm sure it's on your rotation a couple times a year. I'm sure it's on your rotation a couple times a year, Matt.
I'm just like, Patrick Swayze can dance, dude.
I mean, I imagine in the bedroom that you like to role play, and Jackie pushes you in the corner. You tell her, no one backs baby in the corner.
That's right.
Yeah. I can feel y'all switching roles there.
She's still working on like lifting me up, like Swayze lifts up Jennifer, but
poor Jackie.
She's got to work on it. And then lastly, no, I won't. Lastly, Disney acquires Marvel in 2009, and for $4.24 billion. And then we got our MCU,
which almost happened. What's funny is it almost happened before, like when Iron Man came out a year later, and it didn't. And there was some thought was the MCU going before it even started, but Disney came in and was like, no, we're going to keep it going. Because a lot of people don't forget that there really was just an Iron Man film. There was no plans for the universe was teased at the end of Iron Man, but there were no real plans, other than, okay, we're going to make a couple movies and see what happens. And then when Disney put in big money, and then things started happening, so which caused all kinds of problems with the Hulk movie being out too, because Incredible Hulk wasn't owned by them, but yet Paramount and Universal had this deal to work together on this shared universe. And from what I remember reading right, it was supposed to be, Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, and like 3 or 4 films, an Avengers movie, and that was it. And then all of a sudden it became what we have now, which is pretty incredible. Yeah,
it was. And just seeing all that come together for the first time was definitely different than what we've I guess other than Monster Squad was the first time we've ever seen people come together from different movies and team up.
No, you got to go further back than that. The Universal, you're talking Monster Squad, the Universal movies in the 30s and 40s. Frankenstein and Wolfman were in a movie. Yeah. So,
Frankenstein, Wolfman,
go further back. And it's funny, we've done 400 episodes and we haven't covered the Avengers yet. We did Iron Man, we did Captain America. And some of the reason is that is overburn for not just what we've seen at the theaters with the MCU, but also for ourselves. We go see all those movies too. We discuss them, what we watched that week. But I also don't want to get overburnt on them, and that's why we've been very careful and picked and choose the Marvel films we've done over the years. And we've done a good half dozen or more of them, and I'm sure we'll do some more. But that's kind of why we don't overcover them, because we don't want to get burnt out as much as other people do. Yeah. Oh, is that it?
That's it for pop culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good job, Matt. Thank you for that. And you did good with the birthday stuff. And all right. Well, before we get out here, we are not quite done. We've got a couple of weeks left in our summer of blockbuster movies before the kids officially go back to school. And then we're going to end it in a couple of weeks with our back to school film. We're not doing a 3-week back to school thing like we did last year, but we got one planned. Before we get there, we're gonna stay in the realms of science fiction and dark aliens and stuff. And a movie that essentially introduced the world to Vin Diesel. We're going to cover his 2000 film, I believe. Let me look that up because I don't want to get that wrong. And but this is a good one. A movie that came out. Yes, 2000. I had it right. This is a movie that kind of low budget, came out of nowhere, and it got really good word of mouth for critics. I remember seeing this film. Actually, I saw this film with my father not too long before he passed, unfortunately. But I remember me and him both enjoying this, and that is Pitch Black.
They say most of your brain shuts down in cryo sleep, all but the animal side. Guess that's why I'm still awake.
If the man is gone, he's gone. Why should he bother us?
Maybe to take what you got. Maybe to work your nerves.
Is he really that dangerous?
Only around humans.
All you people are so scared of me. But it ain't me you gotta worry about now.
Whatever it is, it got Zeke and it nearly got me. Get it off me!
They seem to stick to darkness. So if we stick to daylight, we should be all right.
A total eclipse. We're gonna lose everybody out here.
You're not afraid of the dark, are you?
A movie that was supposed to spawn a franchise. It did get a couple of sequels that were actually, I liked all the movies, but the sequels, just there was no real continuity to them, but we'll talk about that next week. But it all started with this little small alien flick called Pitch Black, starring a very unknown Vin Diesel and a few other actors. In a movie that, speaking of homages, in some ways is a very kind of homage to the original Alien film in a lot of ways, where they go to this planet and they're being picked apart by these creatures. So we're going to talk Pitch Black next week on the podcast, and that should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that. It's been a very long time since I've seen the original. I've watched Chronicles a couple of times and Riddick, but for some reason Pitch Black is just one I haven't watched in years. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing it again.
It does have Keith David in
next
it.
Week. Yeah, Keith David's in it, and there's some known names in
Cole,
it. Just nothing
Cole
super
Hauser's
famous
in it
at the time. Cole Hauser.
He's in Yellowstone.
Yep.
And Too Fast, Too Furious, of course.
So yeah, it should be a good one. And so that's next week on the podcast. But until then, the rebelradiopodcast.com for all your Rebel Radio needs. And I would do myself a disservice. I mentioned starting a YouTube channel with my son. Go to it. It's youtube.com/@Wyatt's Toy Show. And so check that out and subscribe. He would appreciate that. And but until next week, we thank you as always for listening. Be safe, everybody. Remember, as always, just go there and do it.
Go there and do it.